Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last day of Power Skills. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning. We are thrilled that you are here, and we're especially thrilled to have our keynote speaker of the morning. Before I get started, we are going to be playing a land acknowledgement video. I'm going to start by acknowledging that McGill University is on land which has long served as a site and meeting of exchange amongst Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge and thank the diverse Indigenous peoples whose presence marks this territory on which people of the world now gather. It is with respect, with the links to the past, present, and future, that we recognize the ongoing relationship between Indigenous peoples and other people in the Montreal community. Now, I realize that many of you may not physically be in Montreal. However, I'd like you in the chat to share where you're tuning in from on this Saturday morning. And as you do that, as a daughter of colonized lands myself, I encourage you to take the time to explore the history of the territory of where you currently reside. Learn about your history, learn about the people who came before you. While we play the video, I'd ask that you all stay muted. Nayo, like that. Thank you. Looking in the chat, I see we have people from Trois-Rivières, Montreal, Kingston, Jamaica, welcome. We have a few people from Montreal, Barbados, welcome. Mexico as well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always fun to see where you all are presently. My name is Valerie Dueni. I am a career advisor at the Career Advising and Transition Services, fondly known as CATS, at McGill University School of Continuing Studies. I am joined by my amazing colleague, Nayo Gariepi. Nayo, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted and honored to be here with you.
This morning, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Star Bobatoon. She has over 30 years of experience as a performer on stage and screen, as a litigating attorney, and as a top performing trainer. She uses her diverse background to help leaders level up their public speaking and presentation skills and master the art of communication. She believes that every time you speak, it's a performance, and every place you speak is a stage. She delivers a stellar performance on every stage and helps leaders and organizations do the same. So we're in for the treat today. I introduce to you Star.
Thank you, Valerie. But it's not fair. This is what my 12-year-old foster daughter keeps telling me when I tell her to empty the dishwasher. And I got to tell you, I am done. I am so thoroughly frustrated because we've been through this before and she is not hearing me. Now, I know that as a parent, I can shut this down. My house, my rules. But I look at her face and I see that she is just as frustrated as I am. And so I take a deep breath and I take a different approach. I stop pushing the mom agenda long enough to listen to what she has to say. See, having grown up in foster care, mostly living in group homes, she was never in a sort of family situation where there were chores. This was foreign to her. So after hearing her out, acknowledging and validating her perspective, I told her, I still need you to empty the dishwasher. And you know what her response was? Her response was, okay, That's it. Conflict over, conflict resolved. And I learned a very valuable lesson that day. And that is that poor communication leads to poor results. See, while I was unwilling to listen and absolutely committed to my agenda, when I was committed to my point of view, to my position, I was communicating poorly and I was getting poor results. And so I believe that most of the results that we get in life are a result of poor communication. And so, well, my name is Star Bobatoon. I've been introduced. I believe every time you speak, it is a performance, and every place you speak is a stage. And what I do is I polish the presentations of professional women and a few men so they can own any stage they speak on with a powerful message for more impact, more influence, and more income. Now, as far as my background, 10 years on stage as an actress, 10 years as a litigating attorney, 14 plus years as an award-winning speaker and trainer. I had the privilege or the honor of being #1 in sales and performance at a national training company. And I was trained by world-renowned motivational speaker, Les Brown, and I managed his speaker training program. But I gotta tell you, it was not always this way. You know, I grew up as a child actress, you know, limousines, Hollywood parties, celebrities. This was my life. And I got to tell you, I loved it. But at the height of my career, there was a lot of drama going on inside my household, not just on the screen. And so I thought that the problem was me. I thought that everything that was going on was because I was successful, because I was shining my light. And so what I did is I left show business. I gave it up. That was it. I figured that if everything is going wrong because I'm shining my light, then I need to dim my light. I need to quiet my voice so that there would be peace, so that I would keep love. And I went on to have a normal life, right? I had a couple of kids, got married, I became an attorney. Everything was, it was okay. But, I had this feeling that something was missing. You know what I mean? Something wasn't quite right. Like I wasn't fulfilling my destiny or whatever. But look, I had a good job, I had benefits, 6-figure income. I wasn't about to mess that up. It's funny. Les Brown says that sometimes when you're too afraid to make a choice in your life or a change in your life, life will move on you. And life moved on me. Job went away, marriage fell apart, my dad passed away. It was a dark time for me. And a friend of mine invited me to a seminar. And at this seminar was Les Brown. I gotta tell you, I didn't even know who he was at the time, but this man was about to change my life. On that stage in front of 3,000 people, he had a private conversation with me. And he said, "Are you ready to be the star that you want to be?" Okay, those weren't his words, but in his words, he basically said, are you finished hiding? He basically said that someone needs to hear your voice and you are doing a disservice to everyone who needs to hear from you by hiding your light, by denying your voice. And that was it. I knew that he was talking to me, and it was time for me to get back on the stage, this time as a speaker and a trainer. And so now I am a speaker and trainer, and I'm on stages all over the country and internationally, and I help people sharpen their speaking skills and polish their presentations. But here's what I really do. I encourage and invite people to stop hiding, to stop denying, to stop rejecting their talents and skills, and to use them to embrace their inner light and to be the stars that they were born to be. That's what I get to do. And it brings me much joy to do that. So I got a gift for you, because you know what they say. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. All right, that Valerie says that completely resonates with me. I got you, Valerie. I got you. And so I have a gift for you. And my gift for you is it's a guide. 3 levels of connection for leaders, 3 levels of connections for leaders, because Nayo says, we love gifts. Excellent. And so that's going to be a free gift. How do you get it? You go to connectwithstar.com, connectwithstar.com. Don't worry, I'm going to bring that back up in a little bit. So I want to know about you, right? That was a little bit about me. Excellent. But what about you? Who are you? I would like to know how you communicate. Do you mostly communicate one-on-one? Do you communicate mostly in meetings, face-to-face or face-to-face? I want to know. Or do you have small groups online? Or do you do larger presentations in front of a large crowd? So what is it? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Do me a favor right now, put it in the chat. How do you communicate? Renee says, all of them. Thank you very much. Very good. What else? How do you communicate? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? I want to get an idea of who my audience is. All right. So let's see. We got 1 and 2. Marcia says all of them. 1 and 4 mostly. All. Okay. Okay. Mainly 1 and 2. 2 and 3. Got it. So it's all over the place. I love Florence says it's 1, sometimes it's 2, but look, I don't volunteer. So it's only when they drag me kicking and screaming. All right, I got you. That gives me a good idea of who's in my audience. So here's what we know. Here's what I know, that most people are poor communicators. Most people are. We don't know that we are. We don't believe that we are, but most people are poor communicators. And you know, the biggest reason for poor communication is an unwillingness to listen. We are not willing to listen. Look, everybody wants to be heard. We want to be heard, but we are not willing to listen, right? And this shows up everywhere. It shows up everywhere. Yes, right? It shows up in our personal relationships, right? It shows up in our personal relationships. You have a conversation with your friends and your loved ones. How many times have you stopped listening and you're waiting to respond? You know what I mean, because they said something that triggered something and you're thinking about it. You don't even know what they're saying. You were just ready to answer. Anybody? Go ahead and raise your hand. Raise your electronic hand to let me know. I see some actual hands too, but raise your electronic hand. I just want to see. Excellent. So yes, we got a bunch of those. All right. Thank you for admitting that. All right. Or maybe it's this one. Maybe you find it a little difficult to talk with your spouse or your partner, right? You feel like every time there's a conversation, it's like a battlefield, right? Where there's a clear winner and a clear loser. And perhaps you feel like you have to yell and scream to get your point across. And then it still feels like you're losing. Or when you talk to your children, here's a question. How many of you have children? Let's talk about that first of all. How many of you have children? Oops, I'm trying to get the screen bigger. Okay, got a few people have. How many of you have seen children? Right, you've seen them. All right, then we're good. We're in good company still. All right, and so you're having a conversation with your child, and most of the time you are using, and maybe you remember this from being a child, where parents use their authority to coerce compliance, right? They demand acquisition. How often though? How often do parents actually listen to their children? Yeah, just like I did with my foster child. We don't listen, but we expect the children to listen to us, don't we? Is that fair? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Star, my children are crazy. They are teenagers. They don't know what they're talking about. And it might be true, but they still want to be heard. Does that make sense? And that's where sometimes we miss the mark as parents or as adult people talking to children. Poor communication also shows up in business, in the career, in business. Customers complain about inconsistent service. Employees produce inadequate results, and the tension between employees and management, I mean, it grows daily until you're pulling your hair out. You're like, what is wrong with these people? or you're having conversations with colleagues and they're just not getting it. You can't get the work done that you want, right? And I will tell you the reason for this is poor communication, right? You have just as much skills as the next person. Wait a minute, you've got better numbers than the next person, but how come they are getting promoted and you are not? Poor communication. That's part of the problem. Poor communication shows up in our society. Democrats, Republicans, whites, blacks, Christians, Muslims, environmentalists, and capitalists, everybody is talking, but they're not communicating. Everybody wants to be heard, but few are willing to listen. You know, after George Floyd incident last year, you know, companies began publishing these diversity statements, right? But many of them were surprised when the messages were not well received. The problem was these CEOs and their management teams were crafting and delivering messages to people of color. But wait, they never actually had a conversation with people of color. They were just talking. Do you understand? It wasn't communication. There wasn't this exchange of information. They're just putting stuff out there. This is a problem, poor communication. This is how it shows up in our society. And look, it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. It hurts your relationships. You know, you're trying to build relationships, get closer to people. And it's so much harder now that we can't even talk to people face to face. We're doing everything by Zoom and electronically. Poor communication is harder online and it hurts relationships. Poor communication impairs businesses. It stifles careers, and poor communication negatively impacts society. And so if poor communication leads to poor results, it makes sense that better communication leads to better results. Yes, I came up with that myself. Brilliant, I know. And so what I want to talk to you about today is 5 principles for better communication. 5 principles for better communication. All right. And so before we do that, we got to get a basic concept. The basic concept we need to understand with each other. What is communication? Put that in the chat for me. What is communication? What is communication? Let's see. Understanding each other. I like that. Verbal, nonverbal. Very good. Very good. What else you got? What is communication? Sharing. I like that. An exchange. I like that. Interaction, exchange of ideas. Sharing emotions. Excellent. You guys have a very good idea. An attempt to let you know meaning. I like it. A give and take of perspectives. Yes. Good answers. Those are very good answers. And that's exactly it. Here is what it is. The art of giving and receiving perspectives. Here, communication. Here you go. It's the exchange of thoughts, opinions, information through speech, through writing, through signs. This is it. But notice the key word is exchange. Yes. So that means you got 3 parts, right? You got a sender who sends a message to a receiver. But in order for the communication loop to happen, you've got the receiver giving information back to the sender. So the sender has to be willing to give and to receive. Problem is, most senders are only interested in what? What are they interested in? Put that in the chat for me. Most senders are only interested giving, sending, right? Remember the example I gave you? I was interested in sending information. Empty the dishwasher. Do it. I was not receiving that information. You see what kind of results I got. Exactly. You guys got it. And so here are the 5 principles for better communication. The first one is understanding, listening, clarity, intention, and training. So let's talk about understanding. We need to meet people where they are, right? We need to understand where people are coming from, right? Most people are so committed to their own point of view, they never take the time to figure out where another person might be coming from, right? Meeting people where they are, they aren't doing this. And here's how it goes. Valerie, You don't understand me. Well, Star, you don't understand me. Well, you don't why should I understand you if you don't understand me? Oh, you want me to understand you when you haven't made an effort to understand. I'm not trying to understand you, and I'm not. You see what's happening here? What we have here is a failure to communicate. This is how it goes. So guess what? One of us, Valerie, is gonna have to say, you know what, Valerie, I don't understand you. Help me understand. What? I'm going to understand her first? Yes, that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to understand someone first. Here's the deal. Tony Robbins says to effectively communicate, you've got to realize that we're all different, that we can see the exact same thing, but we're going to perceive the world a little bit differently. We are, there's an accident on the corner of First and Main, Southeast. Okay, I'm going to get this really wrong. That's Northeast corner is going to see a different accident than Northwest corner, right? Southwest is going to see a different accident than Southeast, and Northeast and Southwest, completely different accidents, right? So which one is right? Who's right? Well, they're all right because they're seeing the accident from different perspectives. So that makes sense. We have to understand that. And people aren't necessarily wrong, right? They're not necessarily trying to make you look bad or disagree with you. They see it differently. Get over it. Okay, all right. I see we have it here. So to start, we need to suspend our own judgments and assumptions. Yes, that's exactly what it is. You need to take your own judgments, just put them aside, just for a moment. You don't have to give them up, just put them aside so that you are in an open space to hear what someone else has to say. Meeting people where they are. It's approaching conversations with a willingness to acknowledge another person's perspective. Did I ask you to agree? Did I? I did not. What did I ask you to do? Acknowledge. That's it. All right, so here's what I need you to do. I need you to think of a recent conversation where you did not feel understood. Go ahead, think of it. You got 30 seconds. Okay, that's it. So think of a recent conversation where you did not feel understood. Here's my question to you. Did you, in that conversation, make a conscious effort to understand the other person? Did you? Yes or no? Put that in the chat for me. Did you make an actual conscious effort, or were you really focused on trying to be understood? Did you take so Joanna's like, más o menos, maybe a little bit here or there. At first, thank you for that honesty. At first I did, but then I was like, it's about me. Thank you very much. I got you. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Did you make a conscious effort? And Carlos is like, I think so, but I wasn't conscious of making a conscious effort. So I don't know. Here's what, Addie, that's exactly right. Started making an effort, but the other person was so difficult, I put up my defenses. Yes. Here's the deal. No judgment here. No judgment. We all have moments. I have gone back in conversations and gone, that could have gone better if I had taken a moment, and not just with my foster daughter, and it happens even to this day. I was talking to my daughter just the other day. She's 19. She's about to go back to college, and there was a roommate change and everything. And she was telling me that she had this new roommate, and I'm go straight into, well, babe, it's probably better because you didn't really like your last roommate, and you'll be gonna learn new people and blah, blah, blah. She's like, mommy, stop. You are in problem solving mode. I'm still in clarity mode, still trying to figure out what happened. I teach this for a living. All right. I'm just saying. And I went, And then I went back. Oh, so what do you think happened? She's like, that's the right answer, mommy. Thank you very much. Okay. So let's move on. All right. So number two is listening, right? We need to listen to understand. Most of the time, we're not listening to understand. We're listening to respond. I love what this quote, the biggest communication problem is that we don't listen to understand, we listen to reply. You know how it happens. Someone is talking, right? Someone is talking, oh my God, and they make you think of it triggers a thought, it triggers a story, and you're like, oh, I have got to share this story. I've got to share this story. Ooh, got to keep it in my mind, because as soon as they finish talking, I'm going to get the story out. As soon as they finish talking, why won't they stop talking? And then they take a breath, boom, in your story. Anybody at all? Has that, is it? All right, I see some hands. I'm just wondering. And so, a lot of times I come in and I'm hired to fix employees, right? As an HR consultant. And one of the first tasks I do is get the managers and the employees to listen to each other for the purpose of understanding. Because here's the deal. Here's what you need to know. When people feel understood, they're more willing to listen. So bad listening habits, planning your response. That's what I just talked about. I'm waiting. Okay, so Florence says, but that's typical for introverts, I think. We think to understand others, but others may. Okay, gotcha. All right, very good. Planning your response. Here's one, interrupting. Any interrupters out there? Are you willing to raise your hand, raise your electronic hand if you're an interrupter? Yeah, got a couple of interrupters here. And here's what's going on with interrupters. Basically, what I'm saying is, what I want to say is far more important than what you're saying, because I am far more important than you. You're saying, Star, that is not what I'm thinking, but that's what it feels like. It feels like what you're saying, you think that what you're doing is far more important than what I'm saying. Look, my brother speaks at a slower pace than I do. Drives me crazy. And I want to interrupt him and finish the sentence. Like, I don't have all day, right? But I don't do that. I've learned to count to 10. He always finishes before I count to 10, before I get to 10. My rule is, if I count to 10 and you haven't finished that sentence, I get to finish it for you. I get to interrupt, but I never get to 10. I get to 5, but I never get to 10. All right, so interrupting, bad habit. Here's another one, discounting. Oh, it's not that bad. Here's a question for you. Does anybody here enjoy being told how to feel? Anybody? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. No, seriously. If you enjoy being told how, no, nobody likes to be told how to feel. How many times does someone have a problem and you tell them, don't cry about that. Don't feel bad about that. How many times have you done that? Stop doing that. This is how I feel right now. I feel what I feel. Let me feel that. I have a right to this feeling. You may not agree with this feeling, but I have a right to this feeling. Let people feel what they feel. Don't tell them what to feel. Okay, so that's discounting. The next thing is being distracted. You know what I mean. You're having a conversation with the person. No, I'm listening, really. I am, right? Okay, so you're being distracted, or you're just thinking about something else. You got something else on your mind. Or sometimes for me, I'm hungry. Don't talk to me when I'm hungry, because I can't hear you. I just can't hear you. But anyway, so those are some bad listening habits. Here's my question. Which one have you been guilty of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one have you been guilty of? Put in the chat for me. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it all? Is it 3? What's all? I got a lot of all. You guys are being so honest, and I appreciate that. So what does that tell us? We got some work to do. That's all it says. That is 2. Renee says 2, much too often. See, Renee, you are probably a fast thinker like me. You're like, on with it. Let's go. All right. Gotcha. Okay. Nio says, definitely 5 in personal life, but not so bad at work, right? Okay, excellent. So what does that tell you? You got some areas for improvement. That's all it says. Let's talk about listening. 4 types of listening. We got inactive listening. That's when you're, not listening. You know what that looks like. Anybody know what that looks like? You know what that looks like. Then there is selective listening. That is when you hear what you want to hear, right? You hear what you want. Said to my husband, hey babe, your hair looks nice today. And he said, you mean usually it doesn't? That's not what I said. How did he hear that? How did But we do that, don't we? Person says, this person can say hello to you and you go, oh, so they think, where are you going? How'd you get there? All right. So there is that selective listening. And then you have active listening is when you're actually paying attention, right? You're trying to hear, you're listening to understand. But then it's my favorite type of listening, reflective listening. Reflective listening is when you reflect back what that person said to you, right? So here's what you do. First of all, in reflective listening, the first thing you do is stop talking. Listen, you can't listen when you're talking. So I'm going to tell you to stop talking. Next, repeat what you've heard. Just repeat it back. So what you're saying is, so Niall, I heard you say, I'm just going to repeat it back, what he said, right? I'm going to get it right or I'm going to get it wrong. And then you ask if your understanding is correct. So it seems to me you're feeling blah, blah, blah. Is that right, Valerie? Did I get that? Did I get that, Emily? Does that sound right? And then you ask follow-up questions regarding what they talked about. Here's what you don't do. You don't do a me too, right? You ever have a conversation with a person and you're trying to tell them, oh my God, I got into this accident. Oh my God, you got into an accident. I got into an accident. It was worse. It was better. It was higher. It was colder. It was me too, me too, me too, me too, me too. Here's the deal. I know that you're doing the me too because you want to let the person know, I know what you feel. There's a time for the me too, but we jump to the me too. Niall says, so annoying. We jump to the me too soon. We jump too soon. How about keep the conversation about the person? That's what you do your follow-up question. Make it about them first. When they are complete, then you can add your thing. And here's another one. You oughta. Well, you know what you ought to do. Now, some of us are problem solvers, right? Raise your hand if you're a problem solver. Raise your electronic hand if you are a problem solver. Give me a problem. You go after it, man. You have it for lunch is what you do. Problem done. And so you have a person who's having a conversation with you. You interrupt them to tell them how to fix the problem. Anybody? Yeah. You are a problem solver. You oughta. Guess what? You are annoying and you oughta stop doing that. Is what you need to do, right? Because anybody ever been on the other side of that, right? Someone said, ouch. You ever been on the other side of that where you're trying to explain and then I had a boyfriend. He was a fixer. I loved him when he fixed things, but sometimes he would interrupt me mid-story to tell me what I should do. And I'm like, if you would listen to my story, because I'm a speaker, so I tell stories, it's coming to the conclusion of what I did. Anyway, very annoying. Don't do that. You oughta stop doing that. All right, so that's your reflective listening. Here's the deal. Once people feel heard, once they feel heard and understood, they are more willing to listen. What happened with my daughter, my foster daughter? I just stopped talking for 5 minutes, listened to what she said, and I gave her back what she said. And her whole body was like, finally, you get me. And then she was able to hear me once I heard her. All right, so there is that. Let's move on. I know I'm giving you a lot of information in a shorter amount of time because that's how much time we have. But there will be a way for you to connect with me and we could have more of these conversations. All right. So the third way is clarity. Be clear on what you want. I think it was Les Brown who says that most people, no, Jim Rohn says most people don't get what they want out of life because they don't know what they want out of life. And you end up somewhere and you're like, how did I get here? It's because you weren't clear about what you needed. All right, so question for you. Have you ever been misunderstood? Anybody put a yes in the chat for me. If you've ever been misunderstood, put a yes in the chat. All right, we got a bunch of yeses there. Oops, we got a bunch of yeses in the chat. Very good, very good. All right, gotcha. Too many times. So my question, oops. Oh, so you have been misunderstood. Now, here's a question. Was it because you were not clear or was it because the other person didn't get it? Which one was it? So we're gonna talk about my husband again. All the misunderstandings we had were because either I wasn't being clear or I wasn't listening. Did you notice a pattern here? That is why he's my ex-husband. But anyway, Yeah. We're good friends now. But anyway, here's the deal. You got to have clarity. The sender, you need to have clarity on the message that you are sending. You also need to get clarity when you are the receiver. It's your responsibility. Clarity is always your responsibility. But Star, what about the other person? It's their responsibility too. But if both of you are taking full responsibility, what are we going to have? Communication. All right. So it's hard to reach the end goal if you don't know what it is. So as a sender, you need to know some things before you start talking, opening your mouth, right? First of all, what's your purpose? Why are you having this conversation with me? What do you want at the end of this conversation? Who are you talking to? And how does that person need to get their information? You know, you talk to your 3-year-old niece differently than you talk to your 87-year-old grandmother, differently than you talk to your colleague, differently than you talk to your BFF, right? So who's your audience? How do you need to talk to them? What do they need? And what's your message? So I am a story coach. I'm a presentation and story coach, and people come to me and they say, Star, I've got this presentation coming up. I want to be good at it, or I want to be a speaker, or, you know, I have a meeting and I have to lead it. And I ask, what is your message? And they're stumped. See, how can you even begin talking if you don't know what your point is? Anybody ever have a conversation with someone and they clearly don't know what their message is, and you walk away going, you're like, that is 10 minutes I can't get back. That is 10 minutes lost of my life. No idea what they're talking about. Look, you don't want to be that person. All right. So you need to know your purpose, your audience, your message. As a receiver, here's your job. Listen. That means what? We talked about it before. Stop talking. That's how you listen. It's the first thing of listening is to stop talking. Clarify. Make sure you understand what the person is talking about. Clarify, right? And then acknowledge. So clarify. How do we clarify? You ask clarifying questions like, I don't quite get that. Can you say that another way? Would you give me an example of what you mean by that? So how are you using that word? Because you know, sometimes we use the same word, but we have a completely different meaning of that word. You might ask, so tell me how I would. Curtis says he sat through meetings like that. I got you. You got a 30-minute meeting, you walk away and go, what happened in that meeting? Did something happen? Why? I could have been working. All right. So help me understand why you feel that way. Help me understand why you feel that way. What are your concerns? So those are just for me to understand what you're talking about, right? And here's the deal. If you ask a person, do you understand? What are they going to say? They're going to say, okay. They're going to say yes. Why? Because it's polite. They're not going to say, I don't understand because I wasn't listening. They're not going to say, I don't understand because you are clear as mud. They're not going to say that. What they're going to say is, okay, yes. And then they're going to do the exact opposite of what you just asked them to do because they don't understand. You are going to do the same thing. So put your ego aside and say, you know what? I need a little more clarification. Ask clarifying questions. The next thing is to acknowledge what you hear and where people are coming from, right? That makes sense, right? I realize this situation is difficult. You're dealing with an irate person. I realize this situation is difficult for you. I would feel the same way in your position. I understand how you could feel that way. I can see this is important to you, right? You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. I need you to understand though, and then acknowledge where that person, where that person's coming from. Yes. Put your ego aside. Maybe that's the biggest block with communication is the ego. The ego is the biggest block in so many things, but that's a different class. We can talk about that later. Number 4, intention. Words matter. Words matter. Now, here's something that we all know. It's not what you say, it's what? Put it in the chat for me. It's not what you say. What's the rest of that sentence? It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? It's how you say it, right? And we're talking about words, tone, and body language, right? We're talking about tone and body language because I could easily say to you, what are you wearing? Valerie, what are you wearing? Or I could say, what are you wearing? That's a whole different conversation, right? It's a whole, hey, Naya, what were you thinking? Or What were you thinking? It's a whole different conversation. Body language, tone, you see what I'm saying? So those things are important, but here's what I got to say to you, that it is both what you say and how you say it. It is both what you say and how you say it. Here's some words that you want to not say. You and your. When you start with, you know what your problem is. You are rude. You see that? You see what's happening here? Yeah, the people don't like that. That's not going to be a good conversation. Here's one, but you are a really nice guy, but you like the finger, Niall? Okay. You are really nice. You know, I love how much you participate in our meetings, but whatever comes after the but negates whatever came before the but. Leave the but at home and don't use however, because it's just a but and a dress. Got it? It's still a but. All right. So can't, won't, I can't, you can't, we won't. Those are just negative words that put people in a bad space. Must and just. You must do blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm 12 years old. Don't tell me what to do. Hey, my sponsor daughter, she don't tell me what to do. Right? Or just, why don't you just do blah, blah. Like it's so easy. Look, if it was that easy, I would have done it already. All right. All right. So I get a little excited. The shoulds and the shouldn'ts. Telling people what they should, ought to do and what they shouldn't have done. We're shoulding all over people and people don't like it. So keep your shoulds to yourself. And always and never. It is never a good idea to use those words because they always start trouble. What? Here's the deal. When you say to a person, Nayo, you never listen. Here's what Nayo's thinking of. No. There's that time in February. Therefore, you are wrong. No. Nayo is going to search for the one thing that makes your sentence completely wrong. And once he figures that out, he's going to dismiss anything else you have to say. We do it, don't we? We do it. You always blah, blah, blah. And we're like, wait, no, it was 2018. So anyway, always and never, keep it to yourself. You want to use I messages, right? I realize, I've noticed, right? I think that you are, no. I realize, I believe, use I messages instead of the you. All right, there's that. Words that smooth and soothe. Tell me 2 words that smooth and soothe. Put in the chat for me 2 words you know that are the smoothers and the soothers. Looking at my chat. What are the words? You learned them when you were 2 years old, right? Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Geraldine. Thank you. That's it. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. What is it? We drill this into children, do we not? We drill it into children, and yet we become adults and we think they're not necessary. Put a few more of those into your vocabulary. And here's another thing. You want to have that we, us, our instead of me, my, you, and your. We, us, our. So when I was a baby attorney, not that I, was an attorney for babies, but I was a young attorney. Wait, let me go back. I was a new attorney. I'm going to get it right? So I'm a new attorney and I'm working at the law firm and I make a big mistake. You know that confidentiality is one of those important things in the law. So I took one client's documents and I sent them to another client. Oh, good stuff. And so my boss, my supervisor, is a partner at the time. He fixes it and then he has a conversation with me. Of course, I'm thinking I'm about to get fired. I've been on the job for 2 weeks. And he says, Star, we need to be more careful because when we make mistakes like this, we look bad to our clients. It was a whole we, us, our conversation. And that was a total me mistake. But here's the deal. I had so much respect for him. Jim Severson, I would say his name 1,000 times. Best partner, best mentor ever. Anyway, so those are better words to use. All right, so what are your trigger phrases? What are the phrases that you do, the words that make you, thank you, Addie. Addie, he was a great leader. What are your trigger phrases? Do you have trigger phrases, the things that people say that just make you crazy? Anything? Go ahead and put them in the chat for me. And here's the last one. The last principle is training. Look, get some professional help. Most people are poor communicators. And first of all, they don't know it. And the second, thing is that, first of all, they don't know it. And the second thing is they don't know how to fix it. And what I say is get professional help. You've got communication courses plenty, right? Valerie, I bet you Katz has plenty of communication courses, don't they? Get some professional help, people. It's okay. Yes, more people are poor communicators, they don't realize it. So here's the deal. I went skiing with my girlfriend, Marie and her sisters. They were excellent skiers. Me, I've been on skis one time. Come, it'll be fun. So I go to the weekend. We go to the cabin. First day out, Saturday, I'm ready to go. Marie's sisters, two sisters, they go to the diamond slopes, whatever. She comes with me to the bunny slopes, so she's gonna have a little lesson. Yay! We're on the slopes for 5 hours, 5 grueling, difficult, demoralizing hours. I spent more time on my butt on the snow than I did skiing. Came home to the cabin, still didn't know how to ski. It was horrifying. Next day, Sunday, we go again. And I'm like, Marie, why don't you go with your sisters to the, no, I'm gonna be fine. And I go and I take a lesson from an expert trainer who knows how to teach. 1 hour with this person, and I was skiing. 1 hour and I was skiing. I got so confident I went to the intermediate slopes. What's my point? Professional help. Sometimes a good friend or doing it yourself is going to be heartbreaking. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, and your body's going to ache. Get professional help. So that's what I say about that. I believe Katz offers all kinds of training, and so get the help that you need. So question is, are you ready for better results? Are you ready for better results? Yes. You can use my 5 principles for better communication, so you can improve your communication skills and start getting better results today. Yeah. Reminding you of your free gift, levels of connection for leaders. That's your free gift. And we have 10 minutes left. So I'm going to open it up for 6 minutes for Q&A. If you have some questions for me, 6 minutes for Q&A. And here's what I'm going to do after the Q&A. I need this, 2 things you've learned, 1 thing you're going to do differently. So you can work on that while we're doing Q&A. The floor is open. Ask me. Or should I say the room is open? Because it's really not the floor anymore. I'm not done though. I still have something to share with you. So
please feel free to raise your hand, or you can write your question in the chat.
Did you have previous questions, Nayo? I'll take one of those.
Fantastic. So a lot of them, of course, were already answered, and but just to see here. So how can we speak to change our audience's mind?
All right. So how do you speak to change your audience's mind? It's like I said before, the first thing you need to do is understand your audience. The first thing you need to is make sure you have absolute clarity on where they're coming from so that they are open. The thing is, I was trying to change my foster daughter's mind. I wasn't listening. I just wanted to change her mind because I was right. So that's going to be a problem right there. And so part of that is to first try to understand the other person and where they're coming from and what their concerns are, right? Because once we have connection, we are better able to influence other people, but we got to make that connection. We don't make connections. We jump in trying to tell people what to do. Look, 12 years old, you're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. And so I think that the guide that I'm going to give you when you go to Connect with Star, 3 levels of connection, that's going to get you more information about how to connect with people so that you have greater influence, so you get to change someone's minds. But look, someone says, what if that person is intent on not getting you? Let it go. If it is their intention to misunderstand, if it is their intention to, some people just want to challenge you because. And so stop wasting your breath. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion. Still, let it go. All right. How can you improve communication skills if it takes longer, if it takes you longer to think of responses? Basically, you just need to let a person know that it takes a minute, right? And I'm not that person. I'm the person that speaks first, thinks later. But some of you are think first, then speak. I love you. But you might just say, I need a minute for that. That's a good question. Let me think about it, right? Just to let people know that you need a minute. I would say, do not feel pressured to answer right away. Don't feel pressured. And actually, you look intelligent when you take a moment to consider. Also, it makes the person feel that you're really thinking about the question, like you care. Does that make sense? So take a moment, take the moment that you need and say, you know what, that is good. That's good. I want to give you the right answer. That's it. And that's what I feel about that. If they're closed off and cold and doesn't respond to your intention, I think we talked about that. See ya. How do you react when a family member who keeps repeating himself? Here's the deal about people who repeat themselves. Here's why they repeat themselves. They don't feel heard. That's why they repeat themselves over and over and over again. And you're saying, yes, I get it. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Heard you the first 7 times you said it. They don't feel heard. It's not a matter of whether you hear them. Do they feel heard? Here's what I'm going to do. Here's my suggestion. Repeat back what they say. Repeat back what they say. So, Mom, what I'm hearing is they will feel more heard, and then they'll stop doing that, because that is the most annoying thing ever. Valerie, did you have a question?
I'm asking a question on behalf of someone in the audience, and this is a trigger question that I think triggers a lot of people here in Quebec. And I think it's nice that you are external from our current reality. However, Quebec is a French-speaking province, and we have a lot of Anglophone people who speak predominantly English. And that does create some tensions, and this is a particular trigger for this audience member, and they would like to know how they can best respond when they're trying to speak in French and they're told that we speak French in Quebec and they're a customer and they're in a store and they're trying to get service and they're speaking in a language that is most comfortable to them, which is English. How can this person improve the way that they respond when they're triggered in this way?
And I get that, but they only speak English. I think that the best way to handle that is to say, I want to communicate with you. To say, I would like to communicate. Let's find a way to communicate together. To let them know it's not like do it my way or your way, but let's find a way to do it together. Let's, that's it, to let them know that you want to work with them. But they need to, what you are saying is, meet me a third of the way, would ya? I'm not even halfway, but you might even say that, maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle. I hope that's helpful, to let them know I am trying and acknowledge, that they are trying, even if they're not trying, but tell them, that they are trying, right? We set the bar for them. Does that mean, what if they don't even try? Just say it anyway, Carolyn. Just say it anyway, Carolyn. But here's the deal. You have, okay, very good. Because we're setting it in their minds that they are trying. And they may not get it that time, but look, after you've done it 7 times to the same person, they're gonna figure it out. But I know the smugness. Oh yeah, especially Americans, right? Americans and their English, and oh yeah, that's very annoying. But I've gone to France and I've spoken French in France, and there was smugness going on there too, but that's all right. Is body language more important than spoken communication? That's what the statistics tell us. They tell us that you read so much more with body language, which is why during this whole pandemic, where we're not seeing enough of body language, our communication is a little bit off. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to put in the chat, I'd like you to think 2 things you've learned one thing you're going to do differently, one thing that you got from our presentation today, one thing you got from my presentation today, put it in the chat, the one thing that you got. And if you didn't get anything, just lie to me, please. Just tell me one thing that you got out of this presentation. Listen better, stop thinking about my answers. I like that. I like that. What else you got? Reflective listening. Best type of listening is reflective. What words not to use? I am a problem solver. Gotcha. Gotcha, Florence. Very good. Very good. To get professional help. You're welcome, Carolyn. When necessary to be professional. Use we, us, our. Stop interrupting. Just listen. Repeat to family member what she says so that she will stop saying it over and over again. Don't say me too quickly. Very good. Words to use actively. I love it. I love it. I love it. Very good. Very good. I love it. I love it. And I'll leave you with this. So when my daughter was about 3 years old, I'm about to give her a bath. And she's a little agitated, a little upset. And I'm like, what is it? So I get down on my knees and pull her close. And I said, tell mama what it is. And she says, every day I have to take a bath. When does it end? My delicious little baby. And so I tell her it doesn't ever end. You can't think that you're going to take a bath this one day and you're going to be good for the rest of the day, the rest of the year, the rest of the year, the rest of the week. You got to keep doing it. And with the things that we've talked about today, your 5 principles of better communication, these aren't things that you're going to go this one time and go, all right, got it. No, these are things that you're going to have to cover over and over and over again so that you can get better at it. My name is Star Bobatoon. I invite you to embrace your inner light and to be the star that you were born to be. I thank you for your time.
And thank you, Star, for your time and your insights. Your energy, you were hilarious. I think everyone here was super engaged all the way to the live, all around the world. We want to just thank you for sharing everything with us with such a great energy here at 11:29 a.m. Montreal. Well, I think this was better than my coffee. And again, thank you. Well, we're going to share the chat. I see lots of love being sent.
Lots of love in the chat. I appreciate all that love.
Fantastic. We share the links. You definitely want to learn more about STAR. So just click on the links, get the guide. And again, this day is not over. We have still a few sessions going on. Come and try some of the tips and tricks you've learned today, and be a better listener and a better communicator in the other sessions. We're also going to be having a few networking sessions at 1:30. So definitely join us, practice, and have fun. Thank you, everyone. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you. And hi, everyone.